others. In 1933, when Hitler came to power, there were 9 million Jews in Europe. In 1945, 6 million of them were dead. One of the most disastrous cataclysms in the history of the world. We know it today as the Holocaust. We are honored today to have with us several people who were on that train on that long, long ago, April 1945 day. They are survivors of the abominable Nazi concentration camps. They were but children at the time, and of the millions of Jewish children who suffered and died in those horrible camps, they are among the few who survived. They lived in those camps in constant fear, terror, and horror, bullied, harassed, threatened by sadistic guards and their vicious dogs, denied food and water, medical care, sanitary and toilet facilities. They were starving, ill, filthy. To add to the nightmare, they lived within yards of the gas chambers and with the stench of the dead and the smoke of the incinerators, which could be smelled for miles around those camps. They experienced trauma that no human being should ever have to know. It defies belief that they could survive under such deplorable conditions and unimaginable and inhuman brutality. Yet they did, and their survival is proof of the unquenchable strength of the human will to live. Not only did their will to live sustain these unique people through their ordeal, it was also their extraordinary courage, perseverance, faith, hunger for freedom, and tremendous inner strength. The world indeed has been enriched because these people were spared. Endowed with intellect and talent, their lives became lives of achievement and success. These survivors of the Holocaust, whom we honor today, have expressed gratitude for their rescue from the grasp of the Nazi thugs. This may initially appear somewhat appropriate. It is not. They owe nothing. It is we who owe them. Everything they had was taken from them. They lost home, personal property and possessions, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, their freedom, their dignity, even their lives. Incredibly, such an abomination was allowed to happen and to continue for a prolonged period because no one came to their aid. The rest of the world passively stood by and did nothing. Neighbors stood by with averted eyes. Political, religious, academic organizations and institutions, entire nations stood by and let it happen. To its shame, the rest of the world turned a cold shoulder and a deaf ear to the plight and the pleas of the Nazi victims. And so it was several years before rescue came. And then it only came about not by reason of mercy and compassion and conscience, but as a byproduct of the military action which other countries were compelled to undertake to halt the aggression of Germany or otherwise perish. Consequently, at the very least, we owe them the obligation to keep the memory of the Holocaust alive. We can learn much from the Holocaust, and it is important that the memory remain alive for generations to come, so that they too may learn from it. The day is approaching when there will be no witnesses and no survivors left to tell about it, and its story will be found only in the annals of recorded history. Too often, especially in this country, notorious for its historical illiteracy, history is ignored, and to do so often proves fatal. Only familiarity and knowledge of the past will provide the lessons to be learned and applied, and provide a barrier against the repetition of historical blunders and catastrophes. In the words of the great philosopher George Santayana, and I quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." There's also something else each one of us can do in our own lives. World War II manifested the incredible power of rampant, uncontrolled, unrestrained racial prejudice, bigotry, and intolerance, responsible for the death of millions and bringing the world to the brink of ruin. Like the proverbial pen, these despicable human traits proved mightier than the sword. By eliminating racial prejudice and bigotry from our own lives, confronting and challenging such attitudes and obstinate opinions whenever and wherever we encounter them, we can provide the beginning, no matter how humble, of a concerted effort to rid the world of these contemptible practices. Looking upon and accepting people only for what they are, regardless of race, color, creed, gender, or station in life, will make our own world better, as well as the wider world beyond us. No matter the formidable odds, such effort just may work. It surely is worth a try. If we do that, it is then that these wonderful people with us here today, these survivors of the scourge of bigotry and prejudice, will have reason to thank us. And I thank you.